Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I'm located in Michigan, so once in a while I talk about things that happen in Michigan. And people ask me about the executive orders issued by the governor regarding what's been happening lately. And so these orders change from time to time, and they also modify each other. And you'll recall there's a little bit of a controversy regarding the last one in motorboats. And so here's the deal. Executive Order 2020-59 has come on the scene and is now the one we're living under here in Michigan. And the interesting thing, of course, is I pointed out that the last executive order issued by the governor, despite the fact that a lot of people were upset by it and claiming it said things it did not say, I had pointed out that while it prohibited some things, it never actually addressed motorboats. And I had a lot of flack from that, but, what can I tell you? I get flack on a lot of things. So here's the new order, and I'll explain to you some of this as we go along and how it applies to the last one. This order must be construed broadly to prohibit in-person work that is not necessary to sustain or protect life, subject to the exceptions in Section 7 of this order. And Section 7 was the same section that had the exemptions in it last time. So I like the way that she's doing this, where she's keeping that consistency and know where to look as to what you're allowed to do in Section 7. All individuals currently living within the state of Michigan are ordered to stay at home or at their place of residence. Subject to the same exceptions, all public and private gatherings of any number of people occurring among persons not part of a single household are prohibited. And then it talks about how you should adhere to social distancing measures and what businesses can conduct business and what they must do or not do in that process. But I'm mainly talking about people here. Okay, what can you do? What do you have to do or not do in these troubled times? So we get to Section 7, which is exceptions. Individuals may leave their home or place of residence and travel as necessary, and then there's a list of things that you can travel for. To engage in outdoor recreational activity consistent with remaining at least 6 feet from people outside the individual's household. Outdoor recreational activity includes walking, hiking, running, cycling, boating, golfing, or other similar activity, as well as any comparable activity for those with limited mobility. So you'll notice that it says specifically you're allowed to go boating. It also says you're allowed to go golfing, hiking, running, cycling, walking. But it doesn't say motorboating, and it didn't say motorboating last time. So you're allowed to go boating. Now, I've had people tell me, they said, Steve, I saw an interview with somebody from the government. They said, yeah, you're now allowed to use a boat with a motor on it. Yeah, you are. You were before. I've had several people say, well, Steve, if it wasn't prohibited before, then why must they allow it now? Well, because it says boating. It doesn't say motorboating. So in other words, there was no prohibition against it before officially, and they have not repealed the prohibition because they didn't address motors. And again, I did a word search in the entire document to look for the word motor, and the word motor doesn't even appear, except for motor vehicle, which obviously is not a boat, like a canoe with a motor on it or a small boat. Also, you may leave your home or place of residence and travel as necessary to perform your job as critical infrastructure workers after being so designated by your employer. And that was similar to what we had before. Likewise, you are allowed to go and perform tasks that are necessary to the health and safety of your family or household members, including pets. And then it says individuals may, for example, leave the home or place of residence to secure medication or to seek medical or dental care that is necessary. Now, here's the thing. I had a lot of people say, Steve, that last order that didn't talk about motorboats, elsewhere, people in the government said it prohibits motorboats. So aren't those kind of statements like advisory? Wouldn't the court follow those? Well, no, the court's got to follow the law, first of all. And second of all, if there's an advisory thing in the law, it's in the law like this, where it says you're allowed to leave the house to perform tasks that are necessary to your health and safety or to the health and safety of your family or household members. Individuals may, for example, leave the home. So when it gives an example, it's saying this is just an example of what we're talking about. That's an attempt to clarify the previous sentence. So if they had wanted to ban motor boats in the last executive order, which they didn't do, they could have said, outdoor activities, including boating, kayaking, and so on. But, for example, motorboats are not allowed. And it didn't say that. So 7, you're allowed to leave the house to obtain necessary services or supplies for yourself, your family, or your household members, your pets, and your motor vehicles. So it's kind of cool that list is getting extended. So now you're allowed to take care of yourself, your family, your household members, your pets, and your cars. So the scope of this is broadening. Individuals must secure service or supplies via delivery to the maximum extent possible. So if someone will deliver the stuff, you should do that, okay? But it says maximum extent possible. It says, however, individuals may leave the home or place of residence to purchase groceries, takeout food, gasoline, medical supplies, and any other products necessary to maintain the safety, sanitation, and basic operation of the residences or motor vehicles. And again, this is very, very broad. And I know people are freaking out looking at this as being horribly restrictive. I've yet to hear of anybody ticketed or charged or cited or anything for violating this or for boating with a motor. But that's, of course, a moot point now because that's not going to happen. Individuals may also leave the home to pick up or return a motor vehicle as permitted under Section 9 of this order, or to have a motor vehicle or bicycle repaired or maintained. So we've now added bicycles to the protected class of things that we've addressed here. So it's you, your family, your household, your pets, your motor vehicles, and your bicycle. We've got it all covered. Individuals should limit the maximum extent that is safe and feasible the number of household members who leave the home for errands. So if you're going to go someplace, try to do it with as few people as possible. And you might say, why? If we're allowed to be together at home, why can't we be together shopping at Walmart? Well, because the more people that are in the Walmart, for example, makes it more people there. We're trying to limit people in every situation. So also, you can go pick up non-necessary supplies at the curbside from a store that must otherwise remain closed to the public. So you're allowed to go out and get non-necessary supplies so long as you can do it at the curbside from a store, even if the store is closed. If they do curbside sales, and a lot of stores are doing that now. A lot of restaurants are doing curbside pickup, but a lot of stores will actually say, yeah, you want to get something. And I've had people tell me that they've got gardening supplies that way, despite the alleged rules against that. You're also allowed to go care for a family member or family member's pet in another household. So it's getting quite broad here. And also one of the things that people are complaining about was that a lot of people in Michigan, in the lower portion of the peninsula, often have vacation places, quote unquote, up north. Up north. Everyone goes up north in the summertime. And people said, if I got a place up north, why don't I go up there and ride it out up there? And the most restrictive of the executive orders actually said you couldn't do that. And the executive order now has been changed, and it says specifically, first of all, you're allowed to return to a home or place of residence from outside the state. You're allowed to leave the state for home or residence elsewhere, and you are allowed to travel between two residences in this state, including moving to a new residence. And likewise, you can travel as required by law enforcement or a court order, including the transportation of children pursuant to custody agreement. So 2 homes, you got one here, one up north, travel back and forth willy-nilly, we don't care. Likewise, you live here, your ex lives there, and a child, go back and forth. You can do that too, okay? So, but at the very end, it does say all other travel is prohibited, including travel to vacation rentals. So if you're going to go up north to stay at your place, knock yourself out. You're going to go up north to stay at a vacation rental. You can't do that yet. So I know it's unfortunate, but of course, it's still early in the year. And we had snow last week. I'm not kidding you. Snow. Woke up in the morning covering of snow. Late in April in Michigan. So it happens. So hopefully the order, this one, will get lifted or modified in time for when people actually do start going, gee, I'd like to go up north, to the point where if you want to go up north and do a vacation or rental, you can do that too. So again, to summarize, some of the restrictions have been relaxed. And interestingly, you're allowed to boat. You're allowed to boat before, you're allowed to boat now. And I know a lot of people who are upset by the perceived ban on boating. And I spoke to some very, very nice people. In fact, I had a guy call me from a business up in the Bay City area. and he runs a business that caters to the outdoors. And he himself has boats, and many of his clients have boats. And he even told me that many of his clients are DNR officers who are out, involved in all this. And he told me, he said, Steve, he goes, this upcoming weekend would be a huge weekend for boating with guys who've got motors on their boats, And I said, well, the problem at the time was that the DNR was closing boat launches because they had been ordered to do that. And that actually came from a different part of the law. It did not come from a ban on motorboats, because obviously a closed boat launch would also keep out people with kayaks and canoes, which I pointed out before. And I said to him, well, I hear you, and I feel your pain, and I hope this thing gets over quickly. But the interesting thing is that he said this weekend would be the weekend that he thought would be the big one for boating, and boating is now allowed, and it's the weekend. So I'll tell you right now, according to my phone, it's about 45 degrees outside. I will not be dropping my canoe in the water anytime soon. I might get snowed on with my luck. But maybe in a week or two I can drop it in the water and go out and do some canoeing. So there you go. That's the most recent executive order. And I'll put a link to it in the description below. If you're in Michigan, you might want to read this. But it is Executive Order 2020-59. And it says specifically, it is a rescission of Executive Order 2020-42. So you can ignore 42, and we've moved on to number 59. There you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you right now.